Hey guys, it's Cal, and welcome back to another episode of The Worst of Wattpad. Today, we're going to be talking about I Will Wait For You by Hedgy Girl Shadow-kun. And as you might have guessed from the author's name, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog fanfic, and boys, this is the angstiest thing I've ever read in my entire life. It's pure, undiluted angst. This is middle schooler listening to My Chemical Romance in a Hot Topic level of angst that we're dealing with here today. Let's get into this first chapter here. I just want to read some of this for you guys so you know what we're dealing with. Dark, gray, thunderous clouds of pure misery and chaos rumble through an empty sky, ready to shed their painful, cold tears of suffering through a poor, small city. Many of the citizens scurry about to their homes to take shelter as the storm continues to shed its cold, wet droplets on their heads. But there is one that can't. A young hedgehog pup, no older than 5 years of age, is forced to live out these conditions every day and night in an old cardboard box, the only shelter he is permitted to have. He sits there in the box alone in an abandoned alleyway, watching as Mobians of all shapes, sizes, and breeds just walk right past him, going on their way, not even acknowledging his very existence in the world they live in. He does not reach out to them, though, for he has tried many times. He doesn't speak a word, or move a hand, or flick an ear in their direction. He just watches. For he has learned over the many rainy days alone in his box, with his only company being a small stuffed teddy bear that his mother left him before he was abandoned, that people cannot be trusted. In order to survive in this world, one has to take their problems and deal with it themselves. No one can truly be trusted to help someone in their true time of need. He has learned that the hard way. So instead he sits there, in his cardboard box, wrapped up tightly into a small ball of dull blue quills, watching as the many Mobians continue their happy lives, while he is forced to suffer. Yet he does not complain. The only sound he makes in the night is a soft whimper when the wind blows a little too cold, and the tears he is forced to shed when the painful memories of his past are a little too much to handle. He looks up at the sky when the rain finally stops, and his big emerald eyes shimmer so beautifully in the reflection of the moon, as they twinkle like stars, just begging to join it in the sky and escape this world. He sighs heavily as he wishes his deceased mother and father good night, and folds his small hands in front of his chest. So, yeah, that's the beginning of the story. So now that you guys have some kind of idea of what this fanfic is gonna be like, let's get more into the actual story. After this, we get to meet Shadow the Hedgehog, who is also in this. And he's walking home from work being very grumpy, being very gruff. He's a commander and a GUN agent, a gun agent. I'm not sure if that's a Sonic thing. I'm assuming it is, but I honestly don't know. So he's walking along home, and then he accidentally kicks some mud on Sonic, who, is huddling sadly in his cardboard box. And then we get this. "I'm sorry, little one, I didn't mean to do that. I had no idea you were there," Shadow apologized as he wiped a large majority of the mud off of the boy's face. "It's all right, mister. It doesn't matter anyway," the blue boy said as he looked down at the ground when Shadow was done cleaning him. "Mister, why is Sonic just like a sad little Victorian orphan?" It says, the ebony hedgehog tilted his head, confused and curious on what the boy meant by what he said. "Huh? What are you talking about, little one? Of course it matters," he says as he stares into the hoglet's emerald eyes. Okay. The Azure Boy. the Azure Boy. Guys, that's exclusively how I'm gonna refer to Sonic from now on, is just the Azure Boy. Shook his head as he replied with a soft, "No, it doesn't, mister. No one ever cared for me, and no one ever will, so something happening to me doesn't matter," he said as he lowered his ears a bit and looked down, avoiding the older hedgehog's crimson gaze. Shadow was silent, as he listened to the little Azure Boy with a great deal of sympathy of sorrow for the boy plastered all over his face. When the boy finished, he looked up at Shadow, his big glossy eyes filled with sadness, but also burning with a dimly lit flame of hope. Shadow sighed softly and hugged the child close to his chest for a few minutes in silence, then looked down at the boy. "What is your name, little one?" The boy folded his ears back as he made a face of disgust as he said, "Olgivier Sonic Maurice Hedgehog. But please, call me Sonic, mister. I don't like that name." Shadow chuckled a little bit at the face he made and nodded. "All right, Sonic. My name is Shadow, and I have a question for you." He paused as he looked the boy in the eyes for the umpteenth time that day and smiled a bit. "Would you like to live with me? I would really enjoy the company." So Sonic goes home to live with Shadow. We have this little scene where they're walking home, and most of it's not that important, but I have this one line that I just thought was a bit odd, where it says that Shadow, he's carrying Sonic back home, and it says, "I couldn't help but let a small smirk slide past my lips as I listened to the little guy purred in my ear as I gently rubbed small circles on his tiny, dull back quills." So, okay, that just sounds a bit off to me, and I don't know if it's because while searching on Wattpad for stuff to do for this video, I found so much Sonic the Hedgehog lemons, as they call them on Wattpad, and that I'm just like prying for that now, but just, there's a lot of undertones in this story that just concern me a little bit. Most of it seems like it's like innocent, but like some of the underlying tones are a little disturbing. We'll get into that more later in a specific chapter. But anyways, they get home, and Shadow has been like, he was like kind of lost in thought, and then we get this. My thoughts didn't last long, though, before I felt a small peach hand tugging on my chest fur. My chest fur. I looked down from the wall I didn't know I was staring at two concerned jade eyes. We can never call them green, guys. Oh, never. They're jade, they're emerald, they're not green. "Papa Shadow, are you all right?" he asked, tilting his head to side to show his curiosity and concern for, wait, Papa Shadow? And just so you guys know, I'm also only now calling Shadow Papa Shadow. My ears folded back a bit in realization at hearing that. Am I really a father now? Yes, you brought this child into your home, this random child, and you are now a father. You are now a father, Papa Shadow. You gotta deal with it. Do I really deem myself ready to have such a title, even though I have no experience in the topic? How can I even be sure that I will be good to him and treat and raise him up properly? But, okay, so now Shadow is Sonic's father. That's a new development. That's the end of that chapter. Let's get on to the next one here, guys. Oh, which is the one I want to talk about. It's called Bath Time. And let me let you hear for yourself, okay, guys? So we get Shadow noticing that, Sonic is all grimy, probably because he's been huddling in the mud, so he's a little dirty, and he says, "Sonic, when was your last bath?" I asked, once he paused his talking to take a breath. "Bath? What is a bath, Papa Shadow?" Oh, for the love of chaos, the poor boy doesn't even know what a bath is! Sonic doesn't know what a bath is. I'm just about 95% sure he doesn't know what soap is either, poor guy. Oh well, I guess it's time to show him then. "Come with me," I said, as I picked him up and carried him up the stairs and into my bathroom. I let him sit on the edge of the tub while plugged the drain in and squirted a little bubbles to make his first time more pleasurable. Oh, so that's what I'm talking about. It's not explicitly anything, lemon related, but at the same time, I just don't care for that phrasing. So we get Sonic is about to go take a bath, but then he like freaks out and when he sees the water and he like runs out of the bathroom and Shadow's like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with Sonic?" and runs off after him. And Sonic is just like, "Oh, I hate water. Water wants to hurt me." And Shadow doesn't really understand that. And then it's like a cliffhanger. They're like, "Oh, why was Sonic so upset?" And it goes into the next chapter. Which this next chapter is a flashback scene, where Sonic's a little bit younger and he's with his parents. He's at the beach and he's going out into the water and he gets like swept out to sea. And so they dive in to save him and they like catch him and then they catch him and they throw him into a current that like will take him back to the shore, but then they drowned. So they die, and that's why Sonic is so upset by water. He just hates water now because he thinks it's gonna like kill him and it takes away everything he loves. That's from the book. Um, and then Shadow just like comforts him a little bit, tries to get him to like calm down, and we go into the next chapter, which I think this the last one? This is the last chapter. It's called A Dying Man's Wish. And it's 5 years later now. Sonic is 10 years old, and Shadow gets called out for a mission, for like his job as a gun agent. His job is that he's supposed to go on some kind of a mission. And before he leaves here, he says, "Goodbye, Sonny. I'll be home as soon as I can." Sonny is Sonic, I guess, 'cause like it's his son. Just be patient and wait for me, all right, little one? And then he leaves out the door. He goes on his mission, and the mission starts to last really long. He thinks it's gonna be quick, but then it's like a year, and then him and his team are captured, and it says, by who I don't know, I guess there's some kind of like villains, and it says, "I sat bounded by my hands and feet in a chair with a gun held up to my temple. My entire crew of teammates already gone, killed long before me. I refused to give the enemy what they wanted, due partly to my stubbornness and the other half to my loyalty to my home. And now I was next. I stared into the cold eyes of my capture," I think that's supposed to be capturer, "waiting for him to do the inevitable to me, and before he pulled the trigger, he asked me one question. Any last words?" I had only one, and it was a simple request for a dying hedgehog that I'm sure any other father would ask for as well if he had a son. "Sonic, wait for me." And then he gets shot. Oh, okay. So then Sonic hears about Shadow dying, and one of Shadow's friends tells him what Shadow said before he died, which I'm not sure how he knew, because Shadow said everyone on his team got killed before him. How does this guy know what he said when he was about to die? I don't know, but he does. He tells Sonic about it, and Sonic is very sad. They have a funeral, and then we get this closing paragraph, which says, "Once Shadow's corpse was lowered into the ground, and the ceremony was over, and everyone had left, Sonic walked over to the headstone of his resting father, and got down on both knees, and leaned his forehead against the hard stone, just like Shadow used to rest his forehead on his own, and let a single tear roll down his muzzle as he said, barely above a whisper, 'I will wait for Papa Shadow. I will wait for you. Always.'" The end. Ooh, that's some angst. And we've got, if we look down in the comments here, we have someone saying, "This was the first fanfic that actually moved me. It's the first time I cried reading something." Boy, this is a Sonic fanfiction. Oh, I'm dying. Anyway, guys, that was I Will Wait For You. And that's the end of the episode for today. I'm gonna do some more episodes. We might have some special features. I might have my sister come on. She wants to read this Five Nights at Freddy's like texting fan fiction, so we might do that. I'm also thinking of doing a collaboration with The Horse of Revenge. So look out for that, guys. I'll see you in the next episode.